Welcome back to the Nine Empire. I'm Mark Arnold, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking to you about why I believe the XC Falcon is the best Aussie-made Ford Falcon ever. Okay, so I was just out here in the paddock ripping some bolts from the Donor XC, and it got me thinking about different models and what I think makes one model better than another. So I've always had a massive soft spot for, well, Falcons in general, but generally speaking, the XABC I feel was probably the pinnacle shape for Ford Australia, and what makes the XC in particular the best of the lot. Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to have an opinion on this, so just before you go pulling a hammy, run to the comment section and shut me down, just hear me out. Now, of course, Ford Australia had the most pinnacle car, the XY GTHO. There's no denying that is the most desirable, sought after, valuable, and all the rest. But I'm talking as just a model as a whole. So not a particular model, but just like XA, XB, XC, Y, W, all the rest of it. So what I believe makes the XC the pinnacle? Well, for me, for starters, a chrome bumper car is always just going to be the best. So I'm a chrome bumper guy, and I just think chrome bumper is where it's at. Of course, I like modern classics as well, but chrome is where the heart lies. So the XC is the last of the chrome bumper cars, which kind of almost already makes it the default best model, because by the time the XC came out, Ford had really basically refined the car to be a much better driving car. So anyone who has had an early model Ford, like your XYs and earlier, or then even your more compact cars like your XM, XPs, these just drove a hell of a lot better. They're a wider wheelbase. They, I'm not sure about the length of them, but they were a bigger car. They just soaked up the road a hell of a lot better. Yeah, they may have been a little bit floatier, but driving one of these in comparison to driving an XY and earlier is just, in my opinion, like chalk and cheese. Although a lot of the components in the suspension is pretty similar, just it is a hell of a lot more refined. So although while the drivability was refined, the body build was probably not really much better. These did rust out pretty badly, a lot like the earlier models, but let's be honest, you're going to get that with nearly any classic car nowadays. Another good thing about the XC driveline is that at this stage they were still running a 351 Cleveland as an option, and then obviously right down to a 6-cylinder 200, I think. You could get an optioned LSD 9-inch in the rear with disc brakes. So I'm not sure if this is the first model of the disc brakes, or it may have been the XB, but either way, this has sort of hit its peak, I guess, in this earlier model before you start going into your XD plastic bumper cars. One of the drawbacks, I guess, you were restricted to a single rail sport 4-speed as opposed to a top loader, which you would have got in the earlier models. They are obviously a hell of a lot stronger, but they were a bit of a pig to drive. Okay, now lastly, what I believe makes the XC the pinnacle is what I actually believe is the most prominent thing for me, is the styling of the thing. Now, obviously this is going to come down to your own taste. Some people are going to be diehard XA, XB guys, maybe XC. Now, personally, I probably think the XB probably has the nicest front, especially with the GS, with the driving lights, or a GT. The good thing about the Falcon is that it did have 3 options, basically. You could have a single headlight and a Falcon, which is pretty ugly, to be honest with you. You could have a rally pack option, or maybe even the GXL was an option with a twin headlight. And lastly, you had the Fairmont option, which was the square headlights. Now, some people probably think that's a bit weird in a round car. I personally like it the best. And of course, you did have the option of having the fluted bonnet, which was an American ripoff, but they looked brutally tough. Now, one of the things that I think Ford really nailed with this shape over the XA and B, this door line right here actually follows through flat. So that door is flat, the rear door is flat, and then it kicks up right at the end here to meet this style line in the roof. Whereas the XAs and Bs, from there to there, is pretty much a straight line. So if you look at the car from a sideways, it sort of goes along and then kicks up, in my opinion, in a little bit of an unnatural shape. And I believe that this really just sweeps up the best. So I like the side profile of the XC the best. and to be honest with you, I think probably a lot of people wouldn't have even noticed that. Lastly, the tail lights. I think the tail lights are the best. The XAs had the sort of almost round tail lights. The XB had the 3 square ones. They are all great, but the XC just had those real wide, flat 2 strips, and it just made the arse end look so fat. Once you lower this thing, put some big meats under the back, you know, you can easily get some really thick treads under the back of this thing. The arse end of this car looks like it's going to take up 2 lanes, and it is just a brutally tough look. So anyway, that is my take on the XC Falcon and what I believe makes it the best Aussie Falcon that they ever produced. Also, real quickly, while I'm talking XC Falcons, I always get asked what the hell is happening with the big block XC build that Charlie and I started years ago. So basically we had a really cool looking steel blue XC Fairmont. It was only a 6-cylinder with a dusk blue interior. Andrea bought it years ago. We went out to the depths of the Adelaide Hills, dragged it back, got it running, but we decided one day, Charlie and I, that we were going to do a build on it, and we were going to do a combined build. Started tubbing it. We started pulling the motor out to do a big block swap on it, all this stuff. But at the time, Charlie was still super busy with football. I had a bunch of other stuff on the cards. And to be fair, a big block XC build was not really high on the priority list, but I get asked about it almost on a weekly basis. So the answer to the question is I still have the car. Well, technically it's Andrea's car. It is in storage. It has been for a little while. I have a 460 big block Bear to go with that car. But to be honest with you, we probably won't go down that route. I am pretty much going to continue the build myself. I don't think Charlie has any interest in that anymore, and that's fine. Like I said, as you know, now I am an XC guy through and through, so I would love to do a build on that, but I might keep it a little bit tamer, a little bit more attainable and cheaper. I'll probably end up just doing a 351 swap into it, and yeah, still going to continue with the tubs, leave it a bit patina. Should be a cool car, but anyway, that's the go with the big block, probably not, XC build. Anyway, see you on the next one, guys.